How Phil Knight Founded Nike. A story about one man, one crazy idea, and a pair of running shoes. When Phil Knight graduated from college in the early 1960s, he didn't know what he wanted to do. He only knew one thing. He didn't want to live a boring life. He was a shy, introverted kid from Oregon who ran track in college, and while he was never a star athlete, he had something even better: obsession. After college, he went to business school at Stanford. There, he wrote a paper, just one among dozens, about a crazy idea. What if Japanese running shoes could beat the Germans? At the time, Adidas and Puma dominated the world of sports, but Phil saw a crack in the system. Japanese manufacturers, like they had done in electronics, were starting to rise. He wondered, what if someone could bring those shoes to America? The paper earned him a B+. But the idea never left his head. After graduating, Phil did what all lost graduates do. He went on a trip around the world. But he had a plan. When he got to Japan, he visited a small shoe company called Onitsuka Tiger and told them he represented a company called Blue Ribbon Sports. That company didn't actually exist yet, but the Japanese executives agreed. They gave him a handshake deal and a few sample shoes. Phil returned home with a few samples and a handshake deal. He showed the shoes to his old college track coach, Bill Bowerman, a legendary figure who loved experimenting with gear to make his athletes faster. Bowerman liked the shoes so much, he offered to become Phil's business partner. That wasn't just a lucky break. It was like starting a restaurant and having Gordon Ramsay join as co-owner. Together, they began selling Onitsuka shoes from the trunk of Phil's car. He worked as an accountant by day and hustled shoes on weekends. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't stable. But slowly something started to happen. The shoes worked. Athletes liked them. Sales grew. But there was a problem. Onitsuka, the company they relied on, began negotiating behind Phil's back with other American distributors. Phil realized he was standing on shaky ground, so he made a bold move. If Onitsuka was going to betray him, he'd build his own shoe. That's when Blue Ribbon Sports began to transform into something new. Phil and his small team designed a new sneaker. Something better, lighter, more durable. They needed a name. One of his employees dreamed it up in his sleep: Nike, the Greek goddess of victory. Phil didn't love it at first, but he couldn't think of anything better. They also needed a logo, something bold, fast, simple. A design student was hired to make one. She charged them $35. That's how the world got the swoosh. In 1972, just in time for the U.S. Olympic trials, Nike was born. Their first big product? The Waffle Trainer, a shoe inspired by Bowerman's wife's waffle iron. That single breakfast experiment changed the grip and feel of running shoes forever. Nike took off. So did the problems. Banks didn't trust Phil. He lived in debt, lied to lenders, missed deadlines. He nearly lost everything. But he kept pushing, kept building. By the late 1970s, Nike became the top running shoe in America. Then came basketball, then tennis, then endorsements. In 1984, they made their biggest gamble yet. They signed a rookie NBA player named Michael Jordan. Everyone thought it was a waste of money. You know how that turned out. Today, Nike is worth over $150 billion. But it all started with a shy kid who had an idea in a college paper, and the courage to chase it halfway around the world. Phil Knight didn't just build a shoe, he built a symbol, of grit, motion, and the voice that says, just do it. And maybe that's the real lesson. The crazy ideas? They're not so crazy if you're willing to run with them.